PBKC is your entertainment destination for poker, table games, OTV, Paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222 extension 199 and book your next event today.
It's Wednesday morning. It's 10 a.m. It's time for PBKC Picks, broadcasted live from right here at the Palm Beach Kennel Club in West Palm Beach, Florida. My name is Mike Jamison. To my right, the president of PBKC, Mr. Pat Rooney.
Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good. Good. The Olympics are behind us. We still got a ways to go for football with the draft, combine, that kind of stuff. So we're in a little bit of a lull now. A little bit of a lull.
Really is the most exciting time of the year. Right behind Pat, that's Earnest Christian. He does podcasts. He also deals poker. What's up, Earnest?
It's too much lull. It's too much a lull right now, man.
Too much?
Like the dip is much more pronounced than it has been in recent years around this time of year.
Okay, behind me, he's really excited. That's Noah Carbone.
This is where greatness has an opportunity to shine. If you could dig and bring something to this show today, that raises your stats for sure. Absolutely.
That's right.
Well, let's talk about what's going on right here at PBKC. That's February high hands we got going on until the end of the month. Roses are red, payouts are green every 15 minutes, 9 a.m. to midnight, $15,000 cash giveaway.
Doesn't rhyme at all, Mike.
Not at all.
There's no rhyming there at
Now,
all.
we come up with some cute little slogans
You
here
have a
and
direct
there.
connect to
Let's work
the
on this.
rhymes
Let's
that
work on
we
it.
have somebody and you know them and you can reach out and say, hey, we got to get a little more rhymey here.
you
A
know
little
them.
more
Hey, Mike, I dare you to rap that. Part,
Yeah, he
man.
knows them
We should
very
rap it.
well.
Right. So
So that's what's going on right now. February 28th, that's the last day of the month. That's when we're going to have the big giveaway. That's this Saturday. So let's jump right into the action because there was a video we clipped last week that we put on TikTok that got the most comments we've ever gotten on a video.
Whoa.
Got the
Really?
most engagement.
What was it?
And that was when Pat was like, he didn't really like what's the Olympics and like it was boring and all this other stuff. And so it was a couple of comments that
Anti-American.
I really loved. One somebody said anyone has a podcast now, but my favorite was this age like milk in the sun. How do we feel about the Olympics now?
What did
Pat?
I say? I don't even remember.
Why is Pat catching strays for it? It's not.
You know what?
About the Olympics?
Haters going to hate.
Yeah.
It does suck. It's horrible. I go back
Double down, baby.
I go back
Double
to
down.
Now, I'll give you the woman with the multicolored hair who won the figure skating,
She's cool.
Alicia, whatever her name is. All right, I'll give you that one. That's one. And these two hockey games, the women and the men are singular events. Like they're not really. I would say if you want to attach them to the Olympics, all right, but they're not like a guy winning multiple golds over some kind of a skating or skiing or something like that. These Olympics to me were horrendous. Like and that's not necessarily on the athletes themselves. I thought the packaging job done by who did this? NBC was horrendous. These were so boring. If you turned this on in prime time, and I know stuff was tape delayed, but there was just no level of interest in anything that I was watching. And I tried. I would turn it on every night. So yeah, if you want to say it's spoiled like milk, then if you want to be rose-colored glasses and be like, this was great. I love
to you.
the U.S. came in second in medals and blah blah blah. Did you watch any of this legitimately, or are you just going to be Sally Sunshine and be like, I don't care. This was great. No, it wasn't. It was terrible. Nothing. There's no singular defining event except for the hockey game that you can say, that was great. This was great. This guy did an unbelievable jump or something. There was none of that. So, all right, if that's your measuring stick, then you're easy to please, I guess. But me, I want to see guys setting world records in these
There
things.
you go.
Yes.
Were there any? I don't know because NBC didn't mention it if that happened. I stand by my take.
I love the authenticity,
I
authenticity
appreciate
of
that.
this. It's great.
I have so much respect for that. Somebody actually said, I guess the athletes don't have PR teams this time around because,
There
like
you go.
Pat mentioned last week,
But-
nobody, there was a couple of names that we're going to remember. Honestly, I don't remember the names. I remember the girl with the multicolored
That's
hair.
what I
As he just said, right?
Quad God. And that's about it. So I agree with
Yeah,
Pat
where's
on that
Peekaboo
one.
Street when we need her?
I said
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it goes
Heard
back
it.
to what we said last week on the show about the fact that the packaging stinks. Obviously, I agree with you, and the fact that everything seems so fragmented and fractured now in this day and age of social media and streaming, and that's what it is. The Olympics used to be a big deal, and it hasn't felt like a big deal in over like 10 years.
Yeah, I didn't need to see 6 different versions of curling on my screen. I could literally flip between 6 different curling contests at once. First off, one event for curling is enough. And then to force me to choose, now I got to like, okay, which one of these am I supposed to watch? Because which one actually really matters to this thing? Give me the best one. Put one out there. Put everybody, crowd loves a crowd, get everybody talking about the same thing, and have everybody focus on these events. Like Pat said, there's too much, and everybody's fractured, and everybody. But if you could get everybody to tune into certain items, I don't care what it is, the moguls where the guy's flying down a hill or whatever, and you focus on that, and everybody was in there, then the media and everybody starts to focus on that, and the crowd loves the crowd, and they start talking about it. So yeah, it was way too fractured where people are scattered all over, and we have 800 people watching curling over here, and another 750 over here. And then there's the moguls, and then like the biathlon with shooting and skill, like all this stuff. And we're all like, I didn't even catch that. I couldn't find it because I had to flip past too many curling to get to the where the guy's on skis and then he shoots at a target. I didn't get to watch any of that
was
this year.
curling?
I know people are going to say, well, it's the Winter Olympics, it's the lesser of the 2 Olympics, and that's an excuse. But I guarantee you, when the Summer Olympics come back in 2 years, it'll suffer the same fate too. Also, everything's just fractured.
All right, we'll fix this. We fix things on the show. This is
That's
easy.
what we do here.
We're going to take
Do
over the
all
telecast.
the Olympics at once. There's 2 hemispheres here, right? you can literally do this. You have the southern hemisphere and the northern, and you flip-flop it, and you play the cold weather games in the cold weather and the warm weather games
And they
in the warm
have to
weather.
compete.
And then you
Right?
just put it all together, and you do it for a month straight, and you have it all, and then we'll just get it over with every 4 years.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys think the 4 years now is way too long? Do you think maybe they make the Olympics at least more common every 2 years? They be more interest now?
I like the tradition of the 4 years, but when it comes along, I'd like to actually want to care about it. But
Yeah, but maybe having it every 2 years, maybe more interest because it's more common. It's more in your face.
less.
You think less,
Yeah,
more,
but it's
less
like the
interest?
World Cup.
Okay.
The World Cup, in my opinion, the NFL's product is so great because you got to wait all week. You don't get 4 games a week or 6 or 7 like you get in baseball, and every game doesn't carry as much weight. When you have to wait 4 years to compete at what you've been training for 4 years, there's a lot on the line there. 2
I'm
years,
with you.
yeah.
But the problem is people tune out stuff after a while. These kids today just tune out things after.
It's tuned out. It's tuned out. If you did it 2 years from now, it's tuned out until 2 years from now. Pat's not going to care for another, if he cares at all, for 2 more years until it comes back up. They don't care.
Yeah.
Well, they do, Ernest. They do have world championships.
Right, of course, right.
Like I said, I don't think the networks package those well enough because they have them like on a Sunday at 1, and you're like, I don't even know what I'm watching. So I think if you wanted to do something like that, you could maybe make the world champions at like every other years, or where they're 2 years before the Olympics, and try and pump them up a little bit better. But
They never have, though.
they don't. You're right. I don't know. They just don't do it.
No, I think we have too many products out there, like the mid-season NBA things and all these things. People don't care about it because it's like you're adding all these layers to these different things and playing contests within contests and all these things, and it eventually just wears you down. I mean, the viewers are they're tired.
You get more eyeballs while people talking about the Cowboys on the first take on a Wednesday than you will in the Olympics. That's bad.
yeah, I blame NPC for that. But if I'm going to watch the greatest in the world, you package it that way. I'll watch anything that somebody's like, this is the greatest curler in the entire world. I'm like, I'm going to check this out for a couple of minutes. I didn't really get that from the Olympics this time. When we clip this, you go ahead and put your view out there. Let us know how you felt about our Winter Olympics from Italy this year. But
Who's catching strays this time?
yeah, probably you, Earnest.
Yeah,
I
of course.
hope.
But that's normal for me, though.
But the U.S. men's did win gold in the epic showdown against Canada. The first time since 1980. Matt Baldy scores one of the most incredible goals in the first period. Jack Hughes with the missing front teeth from a slash, scored the winning goal in OT. That was a big game. It wasn't 1980. How did we feel about it, Pat?
Yeah, I don't want to in any way, diminish what 1980 was. 1980 was, college kids, literally kids that are, except for Ruzioni, who was older, but the other guys were college kids going against a team that all they did is play hockey the whole year after year, and play all these exhibition games and everything else. That was literally boys against men. That can never happen again. I mean, it was a miracle that it happened that time. This is pros against other pros. That's why I said it. Even though it's fun and it's exciting and US won, but now these guys go back to being regular hockey players, and on like Hellebuck has to go back and play in Canada, and you got Austin Matthews that has to go back and play in Canada, and you got a bunch of Canadian guys like Sam Bennett that come back and play the U.S. So it's a great. The game was unbelievable. It was an awesome game. Hellebuck, maybe one of the best goalie performances I've ever seen, especially in like the second, third period. But I do agree with John Cooper. I don't think this should be 3-on-3 for a deciding game. This should have been 5-on-5. And at some point, these guys are going to get tired. Somebody will make a mistake and they'll score. But when you go 3-on-3, it just takes away a little bit of it, because it's just so open ice. And in a way, Canada with McDavid had a much better chance 3-on-3, I think, than the U.S. did. So his argument hurts a little bit from that standpoint. But it's just not it's not the hockey the way it's being played the whole rest of the game, and you're almost trying to get it over with quickly. In that circumstance, I do agree with them, and they should have kept it at 5-on-5. But otherwise, great game. It does not make the Olympics great just because it took place during the Olympics. It's a great hockey game for guys that play professional hockey. So I think you need to keep it in perspective that's what it was.
I had a few things on this. First, let's start with Jack scoring that goal with his teeth knocked out.
Jack Hughes?
Yeah, the other day I bit down on something and it hurt my tooth. I was done for the day. And he comes out here, he gets his teeth knocked clear out, and he's just scoring goals.
I haven't seen you all week.
Yeah, and it's just it's just a bad. It's a long story. Anyway, so he goes out there with teeth knocked out, gets right back out there and scores. Pat touched on this. Is this the greatest goalie performance of all time? You're literally up against the best guns in the world, firing at you. He saves 41 against the best players in the whole world. First off, it's hard to get that, to have that hard to be up against that. You only get it in the Olympics, essentially, or essentially, yeah, definitely Olympics, where you're getting 41 of the best shots. You're not getting the bum shots that are, errant shots and all these. 41 saves against the best player in the world. That is probably, you could argue, the best goalie performance of all time. So that was impressive. And then the last part, Pat touched on this as well. You go to 3-on-3, you're changing the fabric of the game. It's almost like, do you have to prepare yourselves to be in a position to play a different game? You're essentially playing a different game with 3-on-3. Yeah. It's not the same game in any way. Defenseman, I know Jack, I believe he's a defenseman, right? Jack is?
Jack Hughes, is he a defenseman?
Yeah, he plays hockey for sure.
Well, he's a defenseman, but for him to hit to make that goal, but to go 3-on-3, it opens ice wide up. You get more play. Just let him play it out. Don't change the fabric of the game. I've seen this in other things before. You change the game. They used to have poker tournaments where you play limit hold'em, where you can only bet like 5 or 10, and then when you got to the final table, you could bet all your chips. It just makes no sense at all because it's a totally different game.
Right.
Yeah. Go back to 5-on-5. Don't change it. There's enough guys on the roster to play it out, and fatigue could be a part of it. I'd rather have fatigue be a part of it than 3-on-3 wide open ice.
I'd be okay with 3-on-3 if they allow them to play the entire period instead of sudden death. But that as you said, it changes the entire game. I was here working on Sunday, by the way, watching the game, and the entire room was invested. Everybody, all the players.
Were you distracted, or were you?
No, I was fine. I was fine. No, I had enough breaks in the third period to watch the end of it. But everybody was locked in.
Because there is a product that we try to provide.
Absolutely. Okay. But the players were locked in too also. It was great, man.
Let's watch the tape of Earnest dealing during that game,
I think
please.
Didn't the NHL also adopt that same rule, also 3-on-3 in overtime? I'm not mistaken. I thought they did
when
also.
When did he do it?
Yeah. I think they adopted this season, I thought, this year.
It's been years.
It's been years, actually?
I believe, right?
Okay. Look, I'm okay with it to some degree in the regular season. It cannot be a thing in the playoffs. When the stakes are that high in a gold medal game or in the playoffs, no, you can't do that. That's ridiculous. By the way, the U.S. had a chance to win this game much easier. They had a couple of breakaway opportunities in the first 2 periods, and they couldn't take advantage of that. So once we got to the second intermission, I'm like, this is 1-1. We got a class on our hands. And we got that.
Before we end I don't know if we're going to end the Olympics, but this is an interesting stat. All right, not. Okay, but I did have a stat, not to get sidetracked. But, okay, so Norway had 41 medals.
Yeah.
Their population and this is where I did my research, 5.5 million people for 41 medals. You talk about efficiency for a population to win medals. The U.S., 342 million population, 33 medals. So the U.S. had like 1/100th of a medal per person, and Norway had essentially 7 medals per million people, and the U.S. had 0.01 per million people.
We got more.
Think about that for a second.
We got more distractions.
That's that's crazy. So
my point on that though is, why doesn't Norway have a better hockey team? Finland's got a good team. Sweden's got a good team. They're that dominant in everything else. Why does their hockey team just average at best? That's a weird stat for a country.
So and it started me thinking when I started looking at these stats. So you think about, okay, why is Norway like this? Because they're focused on this. They don't have, in the United States, we have all these other sport distractions, and kids aren't trained to go and win Olympic gold. We're not. No. It's not like kids don't grow up, and that's such a niche thing that you're literally training, and very rarely do I see kids getting recruited to be Olympic anything medalists.
By athletes.
It's almost background noise. The Olympics is almost background noise for most of these players that play.
So that goes to show you that people are losing interest in the Olympics. They're focused on basketball and baseball and hockey for that. So maybe you would figure Norway to do it, but their hockey players are actually playing over here, and they're focused on coming to the playing in the NHL. So the Olympics are essentially turning into what it was supposed to be, which is the minor leagues, and now it's kind of turning that way again.
Man. Yeah, I remember we all about the same age. I mean, growing up in the Olympics,
not that much.
Well, you know what I mean. It was a big deal, dude. I mean, Barcelona '92, '88 Olympics.
We didn't have.
It's a big deal, dude.
There wasn't even a college guy in the NBA team, right, from college.
Well, after '88, they went to the all NBA guys with one college guy.
I do have to admit, talking about the goals, that I do prefer the Norway Pavilion at Epcot more than the USA Pavilion. Pat knows what I'm talking about. So now we're going to talk about other news of why Canada doesn't like us, and that's the U.S. women's team won gold over Canada for the 8th straight time.
That's wild.
They trailed 1-0. And then we scored. We tied the score with just over 2 minutes remaining and sent it into overtime with an overtime goal by Hillary Knight. How about the U.S. women's team?
Yeah, I mean they beat them in the preliminaries like 5-1, I think. So the women are in a different plane here than Canada. I know we do have a professional women's hockey league here. It's very small, but I'm not sure what emphasis Canada places on women's hockey, because the U.S. seems to be fairly far ahead of them as opposed to the men. I mean, again, I know we're talking about pros and things like that, but the countries seem to be a lot closer. Canada's probably actually a little bit better, but in the women's, for whatever reason, and I don't know what it is, the women seem far ahead of the Canadians in terms of their ability to play a team game like this. So it didn't surprise me, because like I said, it actually surprised me that it was this close, because again, they beat them pretty handily in the preliminary round. So I give Canada credit for at least giving them a game.
Not only that, they were so dominant all the way through up to this point, and then this game,
they gave up one goal.
The entire tournament, and they almost lose this game pretty much. And so but kudos to the women's team.
Yeah, so it makes you think. So you think Russian women's hockey team, and they'd be able to do some damage out there.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Then you get into the social aspect of the whole thing, and women and all this stuff, and where they're at in society in Russia and other countries. So are they able to? Do they have access to hockey and some other things? So it's interesting to look at that and how that flows. And then maybe the United States is ahead in some areas with that, where women are encouraged to play sports and branch out, WNBA and the hockey team and some other things. So it's super interesting how it plays out.
Yeah, shout out to the women of this Olympics. We're going to stop talking about the Olympics now, but I think they did wonderful, and they really represented the United States of America. Now let's talk about Hard Rock Bet's offer that they got going on now, and that is called Double Your Winnings. New members who sign up for the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook account make a minimum deposit of $10, and they're going to receive $100 profit boost tokens at maximum $50 bet per token, and that's a cash wager only. If the wager wins, the customer receives 100% of the profit boost winnings, and those expire 7 days from issuance. Only one token may be applied per bet. You want more information? Go to pbkennelclub.com/Hard Rock Bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Got to be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-833 play-wise. And let's talk about what we're used to talking about here on the show, and that is the National Football League. We got free agency going on now. We got some names in free agency. Daniel Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo, A-Rod. I just saw something where Schefter was saying that A-Rod's most likely going to make an announcement in mid-March.
Yeah. This guy.
Not a wonderful crop of free agents right now. Are any of these guys that you see on your list somebody that you want on your team, Pat?
No.
Not even Rodgers?
I mean,
Careful. You're trying to get him trapped right now?
Yeah, Rodgers probably will end up back with the team, I'm assuming, unless they draft somebody or if one of these other guys, appeals to them. I mean, the only guy that I think would probably be on that list would be Kirk Cousins, but Tagovailoa, Justin Fields, I already dealt with him. Geno Smith's no. Garoppolo, I would have liked him a couple of years ago, but I think he's getting too old at this point. Daniel Jones has injury issues, so the only guy that does kind of make sense if you're going to go with a veteran guy would be Rodgers, just because his familiarity with the team, familiarity with McCarthy, and that kind of stuff. But in terms of, do you feel like any of them are going to be able to elevate a team that needs a quarterback? Maybe Malik Willis, just because he doesn't actually have a lot of history, and maybe he can do something. But other than that, I'm not super excited about any of those guys. There's no Sam Darnold out there that you're like. Right.
I don't know if we have the graphic, but quick disclaimer that Pat Rooney Jr.'s.
Yes, I only speak for myself. I do not speak for the team. Thank you. It's an opinion.
The rules on this podcast is all myself, like you.
So it is. I had it written here for free agents, and I'm looking and I'm doing my research and I'm digging through the guys. I'm looking for who do we want? And I have meh written down for the free agents.
Blah.
You talk about the running backs. The running backs. Just so everybody understands, running backs are a dime a dozen free agency. You throw them out there, roll the dice, see who you can get for a reasonable price, and put them on your team if they could stay healthy. That's it. Running back doesn't carry the weight like it used to. There's a couple guys. Obviously, if Christian McCaffrey was there or Saquon, like he was a couple years ago,
he
that
wasn't
the
that
Giants,
good last year.
Yeah, that the Giants gave up to the Eagles for
they're
the
dumb.
Roman
Go ahead.
record. But guys like that. But literally, you look at the list and you're like, okay, but we're getting close. Next year will be a lot better. I think that Justin Jefferson and there's some other guys coming up. They're more focused on some of the trade stuff and who's going to get released, whether Tua's going to get cut loose, and where that would turn into a story. Because who's going to try to retread Tua, and then everybody's talking about A.J. Brown, and you touched on it. So what was your take on the A.J. Brown thing?
No, that's Nick Sirianni was non-committal on his future in Philadelphia.
Okay,
That's the story.
Do you understand how a good coach is non-committal?
Shaping out to be the most unsexy NFL off shaping out to be the most unsexy NFL offseason we've seen in years. Not forget this free agency, even the draft. There's nothing really to talk about. We almost assumed that Mendoza's number one. So look right now, the biggest names on the available, whatever on free agency, are all about. It's in the negative. It's where they're going. Tua is probably the biggest name, and he may not be a Dolphin anymore. So this is gonna be a very as you said, meh. It is going to be meh. And honestly, you must start digging some topics for NFL for the next couple months because it's going to be bad. Because I don't see anything that changes the conversation in terms of the Super Bowl next year. Every team for the most part is locked in with their quarterback and their key guys right now.
They're actually at the combine now, weren't they?
Yes, they are. It started last week.
What are they doing? What are they doing right now?
It's combine. That's it.
Well,
what activity they're doing?
Yeah,
I have no idea. I don't watch combine. To be honest with you, I don't care.
It's early.
No,
we're not even into March yet.
When we said there's a lull, normally the NFL is still a savior even after the Super Bowl because there's still stories talking like the biggest story I guess right now is Aaron Rodgers' future, but really.
Don't start that again.
Honestly, I'm not even interested in that at this point now because I assume he's going to retire. If he comes back, cool. If he retires, see ya. What are we doing?
I would like to propose, and we'll vote on this, if we could ban that conversation until he actually makes it.
Because
he did it last year, repeated, so I say yes.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Because, again, and the reason why, because Aaron Rodgers, even if he comes back, he's not shifting the conversation in the NFL right now.
Yeah, we're not feeding his brand anymore on this show.
Ayahuasca,
baby.
It
last year.
Exactly.
Either player.
Yesterday, it's not on the outline, that Lamar Jackson, Kyle Van Noy were sounding off about the NFL's admission of the errors in the Steelers-Ravens game. Featured multiple mistakes by the officials. Yes. Week 14.
Right,
But
okay.
to me, does that hold anything? Does that mean anything to you, Pat?
Play-
Well,
run it back.
You can take any team in any key game during the regular season or sometimes even in the playoffs and say, if this would have gone our way, I go back, this goes back many years when we had a guy. He clearly caught a ball that was a touchdown. It was overruled because he didn't take it to the ground.
Against the Pats, right?
Whatever idiotic thing that the NFL tries to come up with. And that cost the Steelers essentially
Once
a number
again.
one seed.
That's right.
Against New England, who was very in New England. And 50 calls that you have a human element involved, and they just probably got that wrong. But the one that really stood out was the catch by, what was his name, Lively. You know, he took 2 or 3 steps. You know, he's holding the ball out, and then he loses control of the ball. Now we're going back to that Jesse James era where it's like, is this a catch? If you you probably remember this.
Zach Ertz.
When the Eagles played in that Super Bowl against the
Zach
Patriots,
Ertz.
all that crap was over. It's like if you are even remotely catching it, it's a catch. That's what I want to go back to. None of this, like, who was it? The guy for the Cowboys that started all this against
Des
Green
Bryant?
Bay.
Des Bryant.
Yes, that was. I'm like, enough of this. Like, we have to slow motion. Does he take? No, if it looks like a catch, give him the catch. Enough of this. Mincing things that drive the general public that watch these games insane. When they did that, did you ever hear any complaint? There were a couple with the Zach Ertz where it's like, oh, this looks a little close. It's like, no one cares. If you say it's a catch, we're good with it that way. It's actually when you start trying to really piece everything down together that people get super frustrated with it. So I understand what the complaints are with that. And maybe they're right, but that happens in sports, and especially happens in football.
That's
So it just is what it is.
That's a bad look. Sour apples at this stage. I don't know if I want. I believe if I ran a new organization and somebody wanted to start talking like that, it'd like take that noise somewhere else. When we coach the kids would be like, yeah, they called or whatever. It'd be like tough, like that's life. Like they called it. Like next play, they're not going to change it. You're not going to get a. What are you looking to gain by arguing that right now? You're going to have 100 more of those calls coming up next year, and the same thing's going to happen. You're going to benefit from some, and you're going to lose to some of them. So why make that argument now? It's just not in my character.
This is another example we just talked about 5 minutes ago about nothing to talk about. Like, if we had more quality conversations about football, no one's even discussing. This is not even something that Mike brings up, but who cares?
But Ernest, that's pretty. If Lamar Jackson is still thinking about that, you got a new coach, you got all this stuff. You're going to have new players next year. His focus should be like, what do I got to do to stay healthy and get this team to the next level? If you're still worrying about something like that,
wasted
now,
energy.
It's just
There
wasted
is
energy.
right. There is nothing you can do to undo what happened.
That's
Move
right,
forward.
Yeah, focus on what you got in front
Stoicism
of you.
teaches you the past is the past, and the future you can't control. Focus on the now, Lamar.
That's leadership.
The now. It is.
Exactly.
Thank you, Ern. Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now let's. We're talking about bad officiating. Let's go into the MLB now.
This
Because
guy
the ABS system.
Whoa.
Believe it was yesterday in a spring training game, which I don't pay much attention to spring training.
Red Sox.
But there was a one inning where an umpire got challenged on 3 different strike calls, was wrong each and every time, which means they got more challenges too. That system is obviously already working. Does that mean we just have a bunch of bad umpires, or does that mean that we're just happy to have this new system in play?
I don't think it means you have bad umpires. It's just that's the way it is. Like I said, I'm actually for this technology because you have the box there. You can see if the ball basically hits the box or it's inside the box. It shouldn't even be a challenge. There should just be somebody upstairs who's like strike, and that's it. And if you want to dispute it, if it's super close, all right. But I'm assuming I didn't see those 3 calls, but I'm assuming they were not close. So why are we forced to challenge stuff that? I get that part of it, but it should just be an automatic, like it's a strike, and bring it up there. And if you want to look at it again and go through that, then have at it. But otherwise, it should just immediately be overruled. And you don't really need an umpire there except to control maybe some other aspects of the game going on. But he shouldn't be involved in the balls and strikes if it's that clear.
Yep. This is good for the game. I think getting it right, and especially as long as it's efficient. That's all I care about. I don't want this dragging the game out and stuff and challenging this and that. But it's just good for the game, honestly. And I think, for all things baseball gets wrong, they are doing a better job as of late of trying to progress and shorten the game, of course, like with the pitch clock. And now this. This is good for the game. Look, I miss the human element to some degree because, that's part of the tradition of sports. but at least this is. I don't think this interrupts the overall process, honestly.
Yeah, so you would be familiar with this. Like sometimes if a dealer has an issue and they make a mistake or something happens in the game, right? They call the floor, right?
Right, of course.
So the floor is essentially the umpire. Umpire comes over, makes a decision, and they make a ruling. Then, like the player's like not having. He's like, nope, bring in somebody else, and that's me. Like I'm the AB. I come in and I make another
technology
call.
right there. Technology.
Right?
Go find
and
Noah.
And if I came over and I had a pattern of wrong call, and then like an hour later, like I get called over by the same people, same and wrong call again and wrong call. Eventually, you got to be like, okay, we got to take a look at what we're doing here because that person, this umpire, just had 3 wrong calls in a row that I had to change. So maybe it is. I'm sure the umpire. I didn't even think of this angle when we talked about bringing this system in, but the umpires that aren't good at what they do, eventually they're going to get like a little bit here. That guy is going to be the story now. The next game he calls and he's out there, he better be spot on.
Yep.
He'll be unemployed.
And bad umpires, bad referees, it will eventually expose itself. It always does, even without the technology, because it's a big deal now.
But what about this? What if it's bad in both directions? Like then it's not right. That used to be a part of baseball. It's like this umpire is calling the game. We know what we're going to get here. The players used to actually adjust, right, Pat? They would swing it more if it like this guy's going to call everything. I'm swinging. I'm hacking.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So maybe you come up with a new system where like if there's one bad one on one side, you get one you start making an adjustment. You could come up with something there. I think you can.
Well, the worst part to me is that system has to be wrong at certain points. AKA when they challenge, it has to be like no, because if every time they challenge it goes through, it's really going to look bad for the umpires.
I agree with you on that.
It really is. Now spring training's underway. We've seen some nice performances. The kid for Pittsburgh hit a couple of home runs yesterday. Anything you've seen as of yet, Pat, that you're impressed by?
Well, you guys know I like to go out on a limb early. I'm going to say if the Pirates don't screw it up, which they very easily could, they have a track record of doing it. That kid, Connor Griffin, all I needed to see were those 2 home runs. That kid can play. And they better play him, and they better put him up there now. And I don't care if they got to pay him or whatever the stupid-ass thinking is that they have with a lot of stuff. But he's a legitimate difference maker at age 19 or whatever he is. And the Pirates desperately, now they got Skeens, but they desperately need an everyday player like that can absolutely elevate a team. So if the Pirates don't blow this, he actually could do something to help them get in the playoffs this year. That's how good that kid looks to me.
I'll tell you one thing that broke my heart is like Pete Alonso's first at bat, I think, was hit a home run with the Orioles.
Oh, that's nice.
So
I'm probably going to hit a lot of those.
So other than that, I mean, it's spring training, bro. I'm hoping to go to a couple games. I try to go every year, but schedule gets in the way. But I'm really trying to make a concerted effort this year to go at least a couple games this year. But 'cause I love spring training baseball, honestly.
Yeah, well, I know where to get. I could get you some tickets to that.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah,
I gotta connect. I gotta connect. I gotta connect.
You gotta, and I gotta connect too. So
everybody, let's connect the dots and we'll go to a game.
I like the stories that like Pat touched on, the young guys in spring training. I think that's what it should be about. Well, like who's out there, and I know they're 19 and they're supposed to be behind the curve. And I had a lot of fun following Jason Dominguez when he was coming up and seeing how he was doing.
Yeah,
and
money you lost on that guy.
I did. I got crushed. I was buying his cards at $300 a pop, and they're like 50 now, so that wasn't bad. I even talked my friend Tim into buying. I think he bought 10 at $300 a pop. So now he has a total of $500 worth for his
That's
so
a savings
for his 3K. So it's not bad. Yeah. So we're counting on you, Jason Dominguez, to bail us out. But one player, Emmanuel Rodriguez for the Twins. That's who I'm following.
Right.
I picked up on him a few years ago. Somebody told me to watch that guy, and I bought a bundle of his cards at like $1 and $2, autographs and all this stuff. That's where the fun comes in. Let's see if this guy can make it. Have a little fun with it, and invest in some sports cards and watch these guys come through the ranks. Go from AA, AAA, and then another local kid, somebody I coach with, who's one of my coaches, Shane Drohan. He actually got traded from the Red Sox. I believe he ended up in the Royals. Was it the Royals? No, it was.
It was another team.
The Brewers. It was the Brewers.
Yeah. That's a team. Now let's talk about golf. Let's just jump right into it.
All right, get in there.
We had Jacob Bridgemen. He won the Genesis last week. I was totally wrong on my pick for that one. Rory ties for second, while Scottie ties for 12th. What do you think is going to be Scottie Scheffler's first win of the season?
Well, he already has a win, doesn't he? I thought he won something
You won
right off the bat.
like
he won the
month ago?
tournament.
Yeah.
He won something right off the bat. So. But he's getting into a bad pattern, though. It's weird that he's starting off all these tournaments like playing really bad for him, like over par, and then he has to fight his way up the leaderboard. Like somebody said to me, if he would have just shot even par, I think in that first round or a couple under, he would have won this like relatively easily. So Scottie's got to figure out what's going on in his preparation that has changed, because he's never had this pattern before where he starts off like this and then has to fight his way up the leaderboard. So I think once he figures that out and makes whatever that change is in prep, he's for 3 rounds, the last 5 or 6 times he's played, he's been the dominant player. So I would look for him to make whatever adjustment he needs to make, get that figured out, and then I don't know if the TPC is the next thing or Bay Hill is the next thing he'll play in, but I would expect him to have a much, much better first round, and then let's see what he does after that. And I'm sure he's going to lap this field. I'll make a couple other comments here. Bridgemen is the kid that we talked about. He's from Clemson. He's the guy at Pebble Beach that was on the beach and took forever while Morikawa was waiting. That was him. He's the one that blew up basically on the last hole because he was right there contending for that. So he's had a great college career, and he's played a little bit in the big leagues now, and he finally gets his first win. But if you watch that tournament, he had a 7-shot lead at one point with 15 holes to go, and you could just see instead of attacking and doing what he did to get that lead, it went back to like a lot of us golfers do. It's like, let's just hang on and hope I make it. If you watch the last putt he particularly had on 18, he just had a 2-putt from basically 15 feet, which he's an excellent putter. That's his main thing. And he leaves it a clear 3 feet short, which means you are super nervous at that point if you're not getting the ball at the hole. And I was like, I don't know how you make a putting stroke with 3 feet to win a tournament. You got Rory standing at you. You just made a 35-footer that you're going to have to play him in a playoff. I give him a lot of credit because, man, if you miss that putt and blow a 7-shot lead and probably lose in the playoff if you get to that point, that mentally is just so difficult. I don't care how good of a player you are you're going to be repeating that in your head. Like, I was up 7 with 15 holes to go and blew it. So I'm glad for him that he did it. Rory played unbelievable. One of the best trap guys I've ever seen. If you watched he was in the traps a lot and hold one. He's unbelievable from short game stuff. Yeah. And then made a ridiculous putt on the last hole. But the story still should be Scottie because he's right there. He's just got to make some kind of adjustment in that first round. But I'd like to see what happens with this Bridgeman kid because now once the seal's been broken, let's see what he can do. Unfortunately for the Cognizant, he was supposed to play this week, and he bagged out of it after he won, which hurts. But I do want to see what he does now that he's got that first win under his belt.
So you're going out to the Cognizant. You're going to catch any of that?
Since the Honda left, no, I don't have like the enthusiasm for it. I probably am not going to go out for it. I've always said golf is one of the worst sports to watch live. You have no sense of what's happening. If you want to stay in a particular hole, then you start hearing yelling from somewhere else, and you're like, what's going on? Or if you're following a group, you're going to miss some other stuff. It's really made for television.
Yeah, I agree.
But it doesn't have the same, I don't know, verve that it did when it was the Honda to me. It's become kind of a second-tier event. It's not one of these signature events. And when the PGA Tour, whatever they end up figuring out they're going to do for a schedule with LIV, without LIV, or whatever they're going to do with these guys, I hope I'm wrong on this because Palm Beach Gardens and Palm Beach County, I think, need a tournament. Yeah. And they've showed it can be successful with when Ken Kennerly was running the Honda. It can be successful in this county. But I wouldn't be surprised if that one's on the chopping block if that comes down to it.
So I'm the fringe golf fan, right? So when it was the Honda Classic, I would go out there. And when I really started getting interested was when the Bear Trap started getting its own identity, where it was like, okay, we're all going to go out there. And people still kind of talk about it. But I think an opportunity is missed. There was momentum there for that. And that wasn't played up as much as Ken. And then they changed the branding. It's away from the Honda. Now it's the Cognizant and all these other things. But I truly believe that setting and where that seating for that venue and for that hole is good. I know, like Pat said, it's not great TV. You don't get to see all the holes, but that one spot you'd be able to catch all the action. Everybody's coming through there, and I believe there was days where Tiger coming through there and all these other things, and it was fun, and they're rolling right by there, and it was a rowdy atmosphere, and that should have been okay, I know it might not fit in your idea of PJ, Palm Beach, and all these other things. It might not fit the demographic or what you believe it to be. And I think that we're trying to steer it in that direction. But I think if you played that up and you played that rowdiness up and that bear trap up and made it a little bit more of a fun event, that I think it could have took on its own identity, like the waste management.
The waste management Phoenix. Yeah.
We had a golden opportunity, and bring back the bear trap.
As a non-golf aficionado on this panel, I chalked this up to a bad weekend for Scottie, honestly. But I will say this much though: I am definitely a little more locked into golf now because the Masters are on the corner. Like what 6-7 weeks away from the Masters. So you see all these names here, the Warriors of the world. I don't know who's in it yet, who's declared to be in the Masters, but yeah, this is the time of year you want to start watching a little more because again, there's a lull right now in sports in general, but things are going to start picking up in the next couple of weeks, and including golf too.
You want to hit the bear trap this weekend? We'll roll out there. Drink a six-pack. We fit in a parking lot before we go in.
I don't think they'll even let you guys in, to be honest with you.
Why?
Because of Noah.
Obvious. Good point.
His picture's up on a lot of places in this county.
Who's this guy? Who's this guy here?
Do not admit.
So while we have a chance, Pat, while we're talking about golf, I mean, we know technology has changed in golf, but you look at a guy like a Scottie Scheffler right now. Where would you put him, in the dynasty of golf with the Jack Nicklauses, the Tiger Woods,
We're there already?
Palmers, all that other stuff? I mean, with the technology change, but, could golfers from back then play in today's game? Could the golfers now play in yesterday's game?
I think they could. Unlike, some sports like you talk about, like could Dick Butkus play now? Or I'll give you one, Jack Lambert. I'll give you Jack Lambert's stats when he played middle linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was 6'2", and he weighed 215 pounds. Do you think Jack Lambert could play at that weight today? He would get crushed. So there's a lot of differences in types of sports. But golf, now Arnold Palmer had a unique swing. Lee Trevino had a really unique swing. I think with technology and the equipment and all that stuff, I actually think they would probably be able to hone that a lot better and probably be better players because they'd have distance and all these other things that they lost fairly rapidly as they got older. That with the equipment changes, you can maintain a lot of that. And if you're asking about Scheffler specifically, he absolutely has all the tools. He has all especially the mindset of being in that echelon, but he's not there yet. He's still a relatively young guy. I think he's just going to be 30 this year. So while that might be a little bit old for like Tiger and Jack that did everything when they were mainly in their 20s, I think Scottie, again with technology, equipment, can play at this level till he's 45. So he's got a good 15 years. Now, if you look at Scottie's swing, he's moving his feet a lot, especially in the drives. And everybody always told you got to stay still, you keep that lower body still, everything else. He's done the opposite of that. His feet are moving all over the place. Whether that's repeatable for a long period of time, I guess we're going to see. That's why I'm saying Scottie has the potential there. He's already won 3 of the 4 majors, some of them multiple times. So you're going to get a good taste of it this year. If he can correct whatever he's doing wrong in the first rounds of these tournaments, which I think he will, and he goes on and wins 2 or 3 of the majors, which I think he will, then I think at this point you can start saying, all right, where is he? Where Tiger was at this point, where Jack was at this point, or Arnold or Trevino, and then you can kind of gauge, all right, he's on the path to do that, and barring injury or something wacky going on with his swing, which can happen. David Duval had it happen. There's a bunch of guys that the other guy, Ian Bayer Finch, was an unbelievable player, tried to change the swing and lost it. So golf is one of the wackiest sports in terms of it can be there for a long time and you do something and all of a sudden it's gone. I hope that doesn't happen with him, but we'll see. I think he's definitely in the conversation, but he's not there yet just because he hasn't done anything in terms of what those guys were doing at a younger age than him.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Not to get too far off track. All right, so Pat's touching on equipment and the progression of technology and all that stuff. All right, so I'm hitting it. I'm hitting mid-50s. I'm getting there, so I got to change sports, right? I have to play something else. So I'm thinking. But I look at
what sport were you playing?
But I look in my garage and I have the hand-me-downs from my uncle, the Ben Hogan's or something. I got in there the bag and it's missing a couple clubs or whatever.
You got to get rid of them.
Okay, so you got to get rid of them. How much of that stuff? So you see, I see these guys and be like, yeah, I got this new driver. It's like $1,400, and the head on the driver is like this big, and they're just smashing or whatever. Can I pay to win in this game?
You can pay to be a lot better. I'll tell you that. I think with the drivers, Noah, you probably need to switch them up. If you're playing a lot, you probably need to switch those up, believe it or not, every couple of years. The technology with the driver changes that rapidly. Irons, you can get away with playing with them for 5 to, if you're really, really good, 5 to like 7 years. You can play the same
that's
irons.
That's not his case.
But and putters, whatever putter, Jack Nicklaus always said, you can putt with a broomstick. If you're comfortable putting with that, technology doesn't necessarily help as much with putters, although like the spider putter now is kind of like the in thing. But drivers, it's like every 2 years. Irons, it's 5 to 7 years. And then putter, if you like it, you can play for that forever. So you would be amazed. You can't hit those Hogans. Hogan probably couldn't hit them.
He knows exactly what I'm talking about.
He
knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So these clubs now are so forgiving and give you so much distance that if you got yourself fitted and got them in the proper lie and all that other stuff, and you wanted to dedicate yourself to it, your game would get as good as it can get fairly rapidly.
Maybe I'll make a run at this.
Yeah. Back to Scottie quick. Obviously, it's way too early to compare him to the grades of Tiger and Jack Nicklaus, but I'll tell you what, his stats now have been amazing. He has 4 majors, 2 of them in the Masters. He has already 20 PGA Tour wins, Olympic gold already. He won 2 years ago. It's way too early to put him in the conversation of the GOATs and whatnot. But these next 5 years are key. The way he's playing right now, the last year, if he can sustain this for the next, say, 5 years, we'll be having a different conversation next 5 years because he's really good, and these numbers are really, really, really impressive.
That's awesome. That's good news to hear. And now we're going to move on to the NBA. This is where Earnest likes
Pat's
to
favorite.
take over.
Go ahead, Ernie.
Well, I'll give you real quick. So my son Anthony's in Indianapolis, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to go to the Sixers are playing the Pacers last night." I'm like, all right, well, let me know. I haven't been to a Sixer game in a long time. So Embiid's playing, Maxi's playing.
He came back last night.
And he's just like, so they stayed for the first half. They had to get back to their hotel. But the Sixers, I think, scored 70 points in the first half. He's like, Dad, Indiana, I know they're not that good. He's like, they absolutely did not play defense at all. He's like, it was basically like just an exhibition game. Sixers were running up and down the court. There was no defense at all. He's like, Embiid looks like an old man. He's like, his knees are gone.
Can't move, man.
It's like he gets both sets of his knees iced as soon as he sits down. And he's just like, I don't know where this team's going, but he's like, it's pretty much all on Maxey now if they're going to do anything. But that I just thought that was interesting. He's just like, I took them to a fair amount of games. We'd go to Heat games and stuff when they were younger.
Yeah.
And he's like, to me, he said the game's just, at least this particular game, has really changed his mind on. Like they're not playing the same way they played even 10 years ago with a lot of stuff. And he's not saying it's bad or anything. He's just like, it's noticeable that it's the Sixers ended up winning like 135 to 118 or something. And I keep going. I've said this before, Ernest. If you go back into the 70s or 80s, teams just did not blow out other teams, especially on the road like that. They just didn't. And you look at scores now, every week it's like somebody on the road wins by like 30-some points. And I'm like, that never happened, ever in the old days. Now, maybe it might happen once in a while at home where, a team was injured or something and, the other team was just shooting lights out. But it just amazes me how many teams win by multiple double-digit figures 20-plus points on the road now. It just is weird.
And I feel like some of those issues in general are easy fixes, too, also for the league. But you have to allow physical play to return to the sport, allow hand checking, allow, just don't call everything's a foul. Like, I mean, that's hurt the sport, I think, in the last couple of years, especially, too, with the three-point shooting. If you have someone that can at least be able to put a hand on a player, it at least limits the amount. Look, I like three-point shooting. I don't want to see 60 three-point shots in a game, though. I actually been watching college basketball a lot in the last couple of weeks, and I gotta be honest with you, as an NBA diehard, aesthetically speaking, the college game right now is actually probably a little better than the NBA because I get a mixed bag of everything. I get a little bit of mid-range game, get a little bit of post game, get a little bit of three-point shooting.
That's been happening in a while.
And the NBA, you don't get that anymore in the same way, and that's what's lacking. As for Philly, though, the situation's funny because, like, Paul George is out for suspension until like April, I think it is, and Embiid's obviously hurt. But if you get those guys back in April, healthy in time when the playoffs start, because they'll be a playoff team, they're going to be a top 6 team in the East. Okay, they could cause some noise in the Eastern Conference because Maxi's good. The kid Edgecombe is amazing. They have a nice roster. The problem is you're worried about Embiid holding up through that. Now, granted, the schedule will work out in his favor because the NBA playoffs are a lot more spaced out in games.
Paul George is, prior to the suspension was playing very good basketball. Philly's has been playing pretty good this year despite all the issues. So I'll say that on the Philly end.
Yeah, Mike will tell you, my game wouldn't translate today's NBA.
Oh, no,
They wouldn't let me on the court.
You wouldn't translate in the 70s. What are you talking about?
Yeah. He would. They would. The tip off and the no would push somebody. He'd be out of the game. It'd be
I'm
over.
sorry, watching Noah play basketball. When I'm playing with him, I laugh because it's comical. I'm sorry.
It's amazing. It's like a football, basketball, kind of hybrid thing.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about our sports betting pick of the week. And Ernest mentioned that he likes to watch college basketball. That's my favorite thing to bet. If I'm on the sports book with the Hard Rock bet, my favorite thing is to pick a ranked team, which I'm going to do tonight. 2 ranked teams are playing. I'm going to take St. John's, who's number 15, to beat Connecticut. I'm going to bet $25 on St. John's to win. The total points under 152.5 and St. John's over 70.5 points, and $25 right there is going to give you 150. And of course, stay tuned to this show in the upcoming weeks because March Madness is coming up soon, and we can't wait to talk about that. Anything you got going on sports betting wise, Pat?
Can we bet on Duke to win it all right now? Like, what odds do I get on that? They're a juggernaut right now. They're going to play Virginia, I think, soon. Virginia's ranked 11. I'm thinking they're going to beat them, and Duke just essentially humiliated Michigan, which was the number 1 team. They were beating everybody by double digits. Yep. Duke's on a different level right now. Unless again something derails them, that team's a real deal. I would take them right now to win the national championship versus the field, and I think they'd have a pretty good shot to do it.
They're plus 425 right now to win the national championship. Surprisingly, Michigan is still favored at plus 375. So like Pat said, go ahead and put like 50 on Duke to win. You win $260. That's not a bad bet at all.
Yeah.
So I mentioned the Masters earlier. So obviously I'm looking at some of the early, because we're still a month and a half away from the Masters, and looking at some of the odds here. You guys don't love value. I like Bryson DeChambeau for the value at plus 1,600 to win the Masters this year.
Wow.
So I mean that number may shrink as we get closer to the event. Yeah. So I'm figuring just put it in now while you can. If you have $100 to spare, just put it in. $100 get you 1,700.
So I'm using technology for my sports betting now. So I built like kind of a bot that searches the sports bets to come up with some plays. I'm dead serious. It will actually text me and say, hey, I think I have an idea. And then I get to decide whether I act on that idea or not. It's pretty cool. I'll keep everybody updated on how that pans out long term.
He's going to be asking us for loans soon. I just know it.
It basically said Cade Cunningham right now is 7-1 to win the MVP. He is on fire, and that market is in your head. You think he's the only player, he's the best player there. Like he could really carry himself to that.
He is my favorite. He is my favorite now. Actually, right now.
Are you just piggybacking right off of my?
No, because I've been saying this on my show for the last 3 weeks now. Now this week is gonna be interesting for him because like they lost to San Antonio Monday, a team that might go to the finals, and then they're playing OKC tonight. So they play two teams.
They beat the Knicks 2 days earlier.
They did.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but Cade is incredible. He's incredible.
Yeah, that's my MVP.
Detroit is a nice throwback team. You want to talk about old school basketball? Yeah. That's an old school team. They lack a little bit of shooting, which could cost them the playoffs. We'll see how that plays out. But right now it's Cade and SGA 1 and 2 for MVP for me.
Okay, let's talk about what's going on here at PBKC. We have our big St. Patrick's Day party. That's coming up on March 17th. The Tear and the Grin dancers are back. Everybody was talking about them last year. We have them back to perform. They've been performing here at PBKC for well over 20 years. We got great Irish food with an Irish buffet. We also have Irish music by Tracy Sands and Rod McDonald. That's their first time here. That's going to be great. And it's all coming up March 17th. It's the classiest St. Patrick's Day party you're going to go to. And it's right there in the paddock. For reservations, call 683-2222, extension 199. Also, we got to talk about the paddock shows. Well, we've got some great shows coming up, including Joe DeVito. He's one of the comedians that frequents the Gutfeld show, and this guy has been here, I want to say 3 or 4 times. He's absolutely hilarious. You're going to love him. He's very quirky. He's got some very thinking type
He's staring
comedy.
at me. He's staring at me right now.
Yeah, he's staring right through you.
He's like, I feel judged right now.
Yeah, Joe DeVito.
And he's laughing.
He is. He's
inside and out.
Judging and laughing.
Yeah, but he's I don't know if Pat's seen him before or not.
I have.
Think
He's good.
He's awesome. He's one of my favorite favorites that comes here, and he's going to be there March 6th. And those tickets are selling fast, so you better get them now. And, of course, the Rooney's 5K is coming up right here at PBKC on April 4th. You can register online
and volunteer
to help out the Westgate CRA, also Connections, Potentia Academy, and PAL. And we're always looking for volunteers,
I may
too.
run it.
There he is.
There he is.
Oh, my God.
The volunteer of the
The
year.
muscle. Noah's one muscle.
Yeah.
You tell me, Pat.
We're going to redo that photo
Does
this
that
year.
not make you want to volunteer to see what we're working with?
It would absolutely draw me to
The
do
key
it.
there, forget my physique.
It's
Forget
like,
that.
do I
Look
get
at-
to work with this guy? I actually get to put cones out with
Forget
him?
my physique.
Oh, wow.
Look how early in the morning I am
Yes.
here to dedicate
6 a.m.
my
I think
time.
it is.
I think we
6
actually took that picture at 6:30 at night.
Okay.
It was,
Yeah, he never went
I
to
know it didn't
sleep.
show up the next day.
Yeah, definitely. But we're always looking for volunteers and sponsors, too. You can always go to our website and find more information at pbkennelclub.com. And what are we looking forward to this week, Pat?
Well, I mean, I'm going to go back to hockey. By the way, the Hellebuck save on, I think it was Nathan McKinnon, that's the best save of all time. If you watch that again, it's literally the best save of all time. So I did forget to mention that. But let's talk about professional hockey, not the Olympics. But Panthers, I think, have 25 games left somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
25.
They're going to have to win about 22 of them.
Oh.
So this next week, 2 weeks is going to determine if this is it for the Panthers. Two-time defending Stanley Cup champs, not making the playoffs. One of only 3 teams in the history of hockey that might happen to. So let's see what they. I know they got Toronto, they got Buffalo. They got some tough games to start right out of this gate, and we'll see how Kachuk and Bennett and those guys are coming off this post-Olympic high that they've been on, and whether they're able to ratchet it back up again very quickly, because the Panthers do not have any room to breathe here. They got to turn it on and turn it on quick. I'm not sure if they can do it, but we'll know in the next 2 weeks if this team can make the playoffs.
Here's the good news for them, though. So they're 8 points behind for 8, right now, currently.
That's
and they're
good news.
Well, no, right.
What's the bad news?
So right. So that there's 5 teams between them and 8 right now. But a lot of those teams in between them and 8, they play the next couple weeks, so they can make a ground easily.
Okay.
So if they take care of business, they should be back in the hunt. Get guys back. Hopefully, we'll see what happens there. Again, it's a lull in sports now, but the NBA, I'm watching a lot of the positioning. I think right now, as we get into these last couple months of the season, I think the East is actually much more interesting than the West, because now the Cavs are red hot now. Now the Cavs, James Harden is now playing good basketball. The Cavs are winning a lot of games. The Pistons are the Pistons, best team in the conference right now. There's a lot of things going on, and it's still that big pending Jason Tatum return probably. The Celtics are a 2 seed right now in the Celtics in the East right now currently without Tatum, and they might get him back next month. I say next month as a prediction, obviously. I think the East right now, like obviously the better teams are in the West. San Antonio and OKC, to me, my 2 best teams in basketball. But I think in terms of interest, in terms of like positioning, the East is very, very, very fascinating right now. And I think these next couple of weeks are going to be very telling.
Yeah, I'm going to get a wager in on Brooks over there at the Kepka.
Nice.
Over at the
love that
Cognizant.
name.
And then on Sunday, if he's in the mix, if he's
Here we go.
top 6 or something, I'll roll over to the Bear Trap.
Okay.
And I'll root him on. If he's coming around a turn, I'll get hammered and I'll root him on.
Can't wait
And
to
we'll
see you on the
bring it
news.
back,
That's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. Noah's going to be in the Bear Trap, and he's probably going to be on in the paper too. But we're going to see you next week. Enjoy the golf this weekend.
Yes.
Enjoy NBA. Enjoy hockey's back. Have a great weekend. We're going to catch you next Wednesday morning right here on PBKC Picks. Have a great week, everybody.
See ya.
PBKC is your entertainment destination for poker, table games, OTV, Paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222 extension 199 and book your next event today.